After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. This is truly a nail in the coffin for those that enjoyed physical forms of gaming content like myself, which is unfortunately becoming a dying market. I understand digital is infinitely more convenient and quickly accessible for the average consumer, but the kid in me misses coming home from GameStop with a brand new game, or most likely used, and because it was a slightly better deal to get the Power Up Rewards membership, a Game Informer magazine in hand as well. It made those car rides just a little more special. And well, in my case, my mom would forget to cancel it, so every month a new issue came in the mail. And since I didn't have a phone till 2017, yeah, I know, how did I ever live? I would take some of those magazines with me on errands with my mother. Got me through some of those DMV waiting lines and such. And over many years and a couple generations due to my older brother also living the same experience, there is a massive collection that I've held on to. It's a miracle this survived a move from an apartment, but I'm a nerd, so I made sure to keep them safe. Today I'll be looking through some of them and taking a walk down memory lane. Let's go. Just because I thought it'd be fun, I took all of my issues and ordered them in chronological order. And didn't actually realize I had a pretty solid amount, 45 to be exact. But I vividly remember there was a point in time, for some reason, I threw a decent amount away. And I don't know, I think it was little kid, puberty type. You know how it is. I still wake up in a cold sweat sometimes for the things I've wasted. Anyways, doing this just made me realize how fun it is to go through physical, tangible, touchable things and just reminisce over the memories you've made with them. A lot of these things have seen better days and definitely took some battle damage over the years, but it's probably just poor preservation, to be honest. Now, while I have a solid collection in my possession, there are many other issues I do not own. Game Informer actually started in August of 1991, and apparently, as of June 2017, it was the 5th most popular magazine by copies circulated. The evolution of these covers definitely shows you not only how the perception of video games have changed, just the times in general. Very edgy, almost Playboy-like marketing at times, but I have to say overall these covers have a lot of variety, from Mario to Batman to bikini anime women to the Beatles, all the way to you. More on that later. But looking at these magazines take me back to the days of not knowing much about what games were coming out unless I either A, walked in a GameStop, B, watched a YouTuber play a game, C, read a Game Informer, or D, watch X-Play, which is a whole nother mess of nostalgia that deserves its own video. Now, ain't nobody got time to look through all of these in one sitting, so I've picked out a select few that I feel deserve at least a passing glance at. Now, the earliest issue I personally have is the May 2006 issue with this pretty sick design. I genuinely didn't even realize what it was until like 5 seconds ago. It's a Glock, but the Wiimote is the magazine. Funny how they low-key marketed the Wii in a mature light, knowing damn well every grandmother and their grandchild were just bowling and golfing on that thing. Also interesting how they acknowledged at one point the code name of the Wii was Revolution, and oh boy was it a revolution. The foresight they had was truly remarkable, inspiring even. Good to know Doge was still getting love even in 2006. Almost unintentionally tore this whole page off because I forgot spreads were a thing. This definitely went out of style in the more recent issues. I remember they used to do these good, the bad, and ugly sections. Miyamoto is a handsome fella, so of course he's in the good. Believe it or not, I'm actually older than American Dad. This show feels like it's existed forever, but I guess that's what happens when you're watching Family Guy straight out of the womb. Ah yes, these big colorful advertisements that just get right up in your face. I'm honestly surprised this gum is still in business. Who's still genuinely buying this in the 2020s? On the topic of outdated things, it was a big ass statement to admit you like nerdy things back in the day, and there just had to be whole sections dedicated to people coming out as geeks, as if they were admitting they've been addicted to coke for 40 years or something. But yes, this is the type of shit that I would literally spend money on. Cheat codes. Something about doing things that in my mind you weren't ever intended to just got me going. Even though someone clearly had to program it into the game, but shut up, I was stupid. I still wanted to create games if that's just something you do. Now, this specific issue wasn't the most interesting one in the world, but we're going to get to the good stuff. July 2006, just a month later. And if you ask me what I was doing at this exact time, on my last summer vacation going into kindergarten, which I was arguably, as in most definitely, not ready for at the time, as I was kicking and screaming not to go in there alone without my mother. Good times. Anyways, they got a pretty neat Need for Speed Carbon cover. Never played it, but Underground 2 was the shit. Got another centerfold right out the gate again, and wait a minute, didn't they reboot this or something a few years back? Interesting. Oh, this is something I never indulged in because I didn't get a 360 till 2011, but custom faceplates must have made you the coolest kid at school back then. Glad to see it's still a selling point after all these years. Pretty cool they actually credit the staff. Not sure how many of the team from 2006 lasted to 2024, but I hope they're doing something good. I remember getting this controller and it revolutionized the way the Wii felt to me, because to be honest, even I thought it would have been nice to just sit down and hold one controller in both hands and play a game like my PS2 instead of, swinging that thing all the time. Oh boy, you were right, Reggie. Were you right? I miss you. Ah yes, the Navy trying to lure little gamers into becoming real men. Funny how they even gave you a little mail slip to really get you to pull the trigger, if you were on the fence about it. I will forever be curious if someone actually ever joined the Navy through a Game Informer magazine, but I mean statistically there's gotta be one, right? And if there is, I really hope he's at home with his Hellcat chilling by now. Anyway, they're pretty smart for giving you GameStop coupons. Too bad they have unfortunately expired.
Copy that.
Yes, finally, a SingStar reference. I finally have an excuse to show off my collection. Oh, GameStop, you never change. Really driving home store credit and returns. Still got my paperclip and butter knife the last time I went. But it's pretty neat that they always do a list of games they recommend, and even though I was a poor tiny child, it always gave me something to look forward to when I eventually did have a chance to get another game. This is not at all why I'm a hoarder now, and is absolutely not a coping mechanism from being told no as a child that I've rationalized as collecting. Not one bit. On to October 2006, jumping a few months here, but this beautiful white-haired piece of flesh is on the cover, and it's hilarious to know the next game in this franchise after this one is... yeah, I want what drugs they were on. I mean, I've heard these games are good, and they're on like every console and on sale all the time, so I guess I'll add it to the backlog. NBA Live 07. I had this game on the PS2 and all I could tell you is that the soundtrack is genuinely amazing. Nothing says Game Informer like a pair of Timbs. Oop, almost got me again, you Navy scoundrels. Maybe next issue. They dedicated whole double-paged up ads for TV shows. I think my mom watched this show. Pretty interesting, there was a top 10 mobile games for phones list back in 2006. And for perspective, I didn't get a phone till 2017, so there were actual humans playing phone games back then. If only they knew what they would become. To be honest, reading this in the current day is actually leading me to discovering games I've never even heard of, like whatever this is. I guess it was DC's answer to the Ultimate Alliance X-Men Legends type formula. Maybe check it out one day. Are games becoming too easy? Putting a picture of Ninja Gaiden for that title, first of all, is insane. And two, if only you knew that games would end up just playing themselves. I've heard from even the most casual of gamers that this game is actually legit, especially from a GTA clone, which is a term I hate, by the way. Rest in peace, Saints Row. Ooh, ringtones. Dope seeing the hit songs at the time, but compared to things like advertisements and gaming and shows and stuff, I feel like all these songs still circulate in playlists to this day. Guess music really is the thing to outlast everything. Now, most of the time, whatever game is on the cover is getting its own dedicated like 5+ pages to itself, which makes sense since I'm sure publishers paid the big bucks for that kind of thing. But it's cool that they don't half-ass it. You really get the theme and vibe of whatever the game is about, and if you weren't interested before, I'm sure it could sway your thoughts on purchasing it. You know, if you had money at the time. Ah yes, peak John Cena. SVR 07 is still one of the best looking wrestling games in my opinion. Gameplay and modes still hold up too. Random shout out here, but Ray Civic made a great video on Blitz the League and its history, a game I grew up that I legitimately thought was connected to the NFL and was very confused when I heard cursing and straight up attempted murder upon starting the game. Ah, yes, when phones and MP3 players started to merge, people don't know how convenient they really have things these days. Man, I know I'm young, but I was still in the last generation where you couldn't access absolutely everything at your fingertips at any time. Don't call me an unk.
We need to move Lonzo. That ain't no problem. Huh? That ain't no problem.
November 2007, jumping basically a full year here, but this is the last one we'll see with this font, and while I prefer this one by a long shot, it does show the shift in where things took a turn for the industry in general, so I guess in hindsight I appreciate the checkpoint. Never heard of this game in my life, but it caught my attention. Seems like a game that would have scarred me as a child if I ever even saw that face. I only know one Jericho. Tony Hawk. Gotta appreciate the legend here. Man single-handedly carried a lot of my summers with his games. And yeah, I know he inspired other people to skateboard or whatever, but that required leaving the house. So thanks for thinking of me, Tony. Now, I didn't know what the hell this ad was even about, but it's definitely left its mark, and I assumed it did back then. Type of stuff people would make creepypastas about these days. Now, this is pretty sick. They would give sections to fan art that people send in, and these three are all very well made. Please drop the Splinter Cell remake, I'm starving. If Splinter Cell has 1 million fans, then I'm one of them. If Splinter Cell has 1 fan, then I'm that one. If Splinter Cell has no fans, that means I'm dead. They're really pushing the time shift game, which actually has surprisingly pretty good reviews given how generic it looks. Off you go. Peak Spider-Man content to this day. Oh yes, 5 gum. But gum that I was genuinely afraid to try as a kid because I thought I had some crazy drugs in it or something. That marketing was really something else looking back on it, and it was a goddamn gum.
Oh my God! Don't do it, Shane! Don't do it! Oh my God!
Stimulate your senses. How it feels to chew 5 gum.
Ah yes, this totally deserving and not at all mediocre game gets its own full double page. Hey, it's one of those animes I keep hearing about. Yeah, this used to come on Toonami late at night when all I wanted to do was watch Family Guy, and I've been deterred ever since. This whole section is activating so many neurons in my brain, no wonder I looked at this as a kid. Oh yeah, the chat pad. Not gonna lie, that's a pretty ingenious invention that, if I didn't primarily play on PC anyway, I'd probably still use it. Interesting marketing. She looks like The Grudge if she didn't have as hard of drugs. Pretty cool a game like Brutal Legend got its own sections like these. Now I'm not gonna act like I've actually played the game, but it has Jack Black, so it's gotta be great.
Who are you?
I am Steve.
It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, ladies and gentlemen.
Ah yes, the Halo clone to kill all Halos. To be honest, even today this design is actually pretty cool. So much yellow. Holy Assassin's Creed. To be fair, even I knew about those games without ever reading the section. It was like the thing to get at the time. Seen it. Nothing like a little family fun to start a couple petty arguments about. Now I'm not gonna lie, I had to look at this ad a couple times to get it. I was mainly confused because I have a Civic myself. I know, sorry I didn't cash in my Hellcat. But they're saying it's rare, not well done, which is what I thought at first. Strange they chose a blue car and not a red one with the whole theme, you know, but I guess it stands out more in that aspect. Had to double check if that was David Goggins, not gonna lie.
On me, son.
Get it. 18.
On me, son.
Get it. 19.
On me, son.
The first wrestling game I had in my possession, and man it sucked, but I still played the shit out of it. Hajime no Ippo reference. That's my favorite anime, by the way. Random, I know. It's peak though. Pretty cool, even though in 07, the Wii, 360, and PS3 were all out, they still promoted PS2 games, you know, for broke people like me. September 2010, moving up 3 years, and this is arguably my favorite cover that I own because, while yes, it's the same as the actual game cover, there's less distractions compared to the actual case, and it's pretty much just the art outside of this new and improved font. And yeah, this thing has some scars to explain for itself, and it's unfortunate because this art is actually pretty sick. Oh man, Got Milk is a blast from the past. Never understood why they didn't just wipe their lip though, that's very inconsiderate. Yes, the best Kingdom Hearts game. This fan art is pretty freaking sweet though. Kirby would have the time of his life in that universe. Just seeing pics of this game annoys me. I bought it when it came out, and me being a child that doesn't do research, thought it was going to play like Tekken instead of Street Fighter. I was very wrong. I still believe they should release Tekken X Street Fighter, and given how Akuma played in Tekken 7, as broken as he was, they implemented it very well. Yes, the list I've been looking for my whole life. The top 10 disgustingly cute characters. Rabbit absolutely does not deserve to be on this list, by the way. Also, a Nintendog? Does that even count? Captain Quark was snubbed, just look at him. Now, just looking through all these, I can tell you they definitely cater to their older, male demographic in general, but as a wee little boy, during this time, I don't think I would even know what this was for. Looked moist though. I miss the times when your gamer score was directly tied with how cool you were as a human being. I know there are entire channels dedicated to that now, but socially, who actually cares about that anymore? Hey man, how many Steam trophies you got? The next time someone is asked that, I'll eat a whole onion raw. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. I'll never forget getting this on my birthday for the Wii. Yes, I said Wii. This is actually unironically one of the best ports from a third-party studio to the Wii. And yeah, they shoehorned a bit of motion malarkey in there, but for the most part, other than the graphics, everything from the gameplay to the unlockables is all there. Played the mess out of it. Also, I think it might technically be my first introduction to Deadpool as a character outside of only hearing about him being that one guy that was in that one X-Men movie. But yes, beautiful game. I know some people enjoyed this game. I don't know how. May 2014. I had this magazine in my possession all these years and had no idea what Pandora's box was truly lying in wait on my bookshelf. Fun fact, I played Fortnite for the first time in 2022. I promise I'm not an old head, it's just my brain does not operate in the current time zone. I'm still trying to beat games that came out in 2010. Honestly, it's actually pretty interesting seeing the old designs and concepts from when Fortnite was just another shooter, you know, before they turned into a completely different game with a business model that completely changed the gaming landscape. Casually. They really are the Beatles. Pretty neat they give you a graph showing a bunch of common and rare achievements, again, when people actually care. I will say, even though I think it's a bit subtle, you can tell there's just a little less color in these later issues and a lot more words. Not as much popping out at you as before. Whether that be a change in times or they themselves just lost creativity, it was evident things were not the same. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was supposed to be good to me as a kid. Then that Redbox rental changed everything. I don't think I even beat the first level. Then the movie sucked. Yeah, not the absolute best time to be a Spidey fan. Ah yes, Helldivers in 2014. Another game that would have to wait to get its time in the limelight. Still haven't touched the second one. When Titanfall was taking over the Earth. Crazy how irrelevant that IP is now, despite people saying the gameplay is actually really good. Still lots of old references even in newer issues, gotta love a good old retelling of this rivalry. Now they just occasionally play Olympic sports together. November 2017, the last issue I'll be looking through today. Gotta love the good old expiration notice plastered on the front. Funny how those evolved themselves. I have to say, out of all the ones I've checked in this bunch, this has the least character for sure. It almost feels like someone's personal blog rather than a faithful representation of showing off different IPs that, you know, look interesting. Doesn't help that this is at the point where they have significantly chopped down the size of these things over time, and yeah, save the earth and all that, but the quality of the paper itself has decreased as well, and I'm no paper craftsman expert, but I feel like I could very well easily rip this whole thing in half with no resistance, and almost did unintentionally a couple times. They definitely did the Dragon Ball section justice though. Great read for fans of the series.
In America.
Destiny 2 at a 9 is crazy, not gonna lie. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite at an 8.25. That's honestly very shocking. I feel like not a single human being I saw online or in person liked this game. I didn't even really like it just playing the demo. Now, did I give it a fair shot? Not really, but even beyond the actual gameplay, it's an ugly looking game. Okay, you know what? No, forget the other score. NBA 2K18 at a 9 is insane. I played this on launch, and while I actually put some decent time into it, I don't think I really had that much fun, to be honest. Not to mention that was like the absolute peak of my career schlop. Holy pay to win. I have to give it to him though. A top 10 SNES games in 2017, it's pretty crazy. I respect it though. Well, all in all, that was a fun trip down a bygone era of gaming that as of now is no longer with us. From this to this, it gave kids like me something to not only look forward to, but genuinely put me onto some stuff I would have never otherwise heard about, even if some of the end products were underwhelming. I'm looking at you. This is the earliest and latest issues I personally have, and it was pretty neat seeing how they've evolved or devolved depending on how you look at it. Gaming is in the best position it's ever been lucratively, yet I still see people complain about how games are dead. While yes, some of the passion may be lost from some devs and publishers, it's honestly really dependent on what kind of stuff you're into. Cause yeah, if you buy the yearly COD and sports game, you're actually getting royally boned for playing those games. But good stuff is out there, you just gotta look. And unfortunately, we just lost another way to discover some stuff we otherwise never would have. R.I.P. Game Informer, a genuinely impactful part of my childhood.